On today's episode of Wrong Side, we dive into another week in the NFL and college football with a massive game in Tuscaloosa. Around the world making another appearance this week with some great topics that you people will really like and truly should stick around for. Our clutch moment of the week brought to you by Shore Metals and, of course, Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back, listeners. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is October 2nd, and we as a podcast are sitting at 2-2. I was lucky enough to be at the Bears game Sunday, going again next week, but want to hit on Cowboys first. Michael, 2-2. We were both in a very bad state after last week. How are we feeling today?
Yeah, I got some pretty concerning texts asking me about my mental health after last week. Had some friends also text me personally and make fun of us about Ohio State. Dean, one of our
Oh,
friends, and
really?
one of the many listeners we have, texted me and was like, "Man, now I understand what it's like to be a Chiefs fan, just like nitpick every little moment." But yeah, we were down really bad 2 weeks ago. It took a lot out of us. I think a lot of people were hurt. I think a lot of people were upset and may have said things they regret. I certainly have not said anything I don't regret yet. Um, but I, looking at this past week, it was the Thursday night game. We luckily got to be everyone's eyes on us. It was the Malik Neighbors breakout game, I called it. And basically, um, I guess my takeaway is that they won? Question mark. This does not warrant it's Groundhog Day again because I think we just know that's the story of the season already. Dak is the Giants are still Dak's son. Let's put that out there. 13 straight. It doesn't matter how bad it gets. We still own them. Very similar to how the Angels own the Mariners. No matter how bad the Angels are. And yeah, the Giants stink. They are not a good football team. I thought Dable was very conservative the way he called plays. I actually didn't think Daniel Jones played that poorly in the first half. He made a lot of good throws. He didn't really get active with his feet, which kind of shocked me. He didn't really run that much. When it came to the run defense, I'll say it. I heard it on the radio when I was driving to watch the game. Devin Singletary was the leading NFL rusher since week 10 of last season. He was a solid player. The line has gotten much better for New York, held to under 30 yards. The Cowboys were fantastic in yards per carry. And I think it was great. I thought it was a great game from the run defense aspect. I'll give them that. Offensive side of the ball, great first half. Dak continues to look well. Even Rico Dowdle got a couple nice plays, had a nice
Yeah.
catch and pitch. But unfortunately, felt like a loss within a win. Micah Parsons' high ankle sprain could be a week-to-week thing, potentially 2 weeks. I could see him riding it out through the bye. And then DeMarcus Lawrence, our best interior D lineman, out 4 to 8 weeks. So
Yeah.
definitely something to look at. I guess I'm happy we won. It's going to be a freaking gauntlet that starts this Sunday Night Football against Fields and the Steelers, but it's gonna be a gauntlet. And if the defense does not even step up, especially after what I just watched with the Lions in 2 weeks, they're gonna come in and take the Cowboys' lunch money very fast.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they won question mark, I think is a good way to put it. There were shades of all those similar problems early in the game, slow offensive starts, not completing drives, giving up some big plays here and there. I know there were some practice squad corners out there. Tough for your
Yeah,
first game to be Thursday night, prime time. Malik Neighbors makes you touch the ground, breaks your ankles, and goes for a big play.
yeah.
Daniel Jones, I think he looked pretty good. Couple tough drops for them. It was ugly. It was Thursday night games have been bad, I think, the last couple of years, really since Amazon got their greedy paws on those games. They've just been awful games. And that was truly one of the worst. So
Yeah, and it was
moved to two and two, but
along with it ugly. It was like ref show. I felt like we couldn't
oh,
go 30 seconds without a flag. And
yeah.
surprisingly enough, I agree that Thursday night games suck. But the actual last one, it's like a little biased, but the actual one I really do believe that was a good game was that Seahawks Cowboys game last season. That was like
Yeah, that was awesome.
41-38, like back and forth offense, like great game. But like other than that, flags. Andrew Booth got fucking worked on the corner. I need
Yep.
Deron Bland back, hopefully soon. But I don't know. 2-2, Pittsburgh, then Detroit, then the bye. It's gonna be a long season. It's not my tone deaf, but I will say it now because it's now we're recording this on Monday night. But my tone deaf in the Cowboys game, I think, is gonna go out to Micah Parsons. I think Micah played well. I think he played hard. He stopped some great runs. I thought he played well. But I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's the way the sport we used to watch has changed. Everybody's buddy buddy. Everybody's friends now. Everybody does this. I understand we are not pro athletes. I understand we host a podcast. I'm not talking about him to not host his podcast. Do whatever the hell he wants. I don't care anymore. But Monday morning, after an injury, after another okay week by the Cowboys, and he has Darius Slay on to talk about CJ Gardner-Johnson and the Eagles and the Cowboys. It's too buddy-buddy. The old Cowboys would never have old Eagles on, and it sucks. I hated seeing that today. It's annoying, and Micah's better than that, I think, personally. He's smarter than that to do something like that.
I'll disagree. I don't think he's smarter than that because he's shown it time and time again. But during the season, it's pretty tough to have interdivisional rivals.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the Giants and the 49ers or like teams that are different conferences, like far away from each other.
And he went on that whole tour with CJ in the offseason. Like, it's like they're both in Texas, whatever. But, like, it didn't matter. There was no games going on. Like,
yeah, CJ in the offseason makes a ton of sense. There's not a lot of games going on. There's AFC, NFC teams. Like, that was pretty cool. They had some good stuff, some good football outlook there. But now, like, an interdivisional rival during the season like that, and it's not like these teams are buddy-buddy. NFC East is right up there with NFC North in terms of hardcore historic rivalries. But now, kind of looking ahead for the Cowboys, you won, but at what cost? Like 2 injuries to 2 of your best players. Imagine an offensive weapon goes down. You guys are going to be in pretty big trouble there. A tough month and a half, tough 6 weeks of teams going forward, and the Cowboys aren't even infallible at home anymore. That was something that they had kept consistent over the last 3 or 4 years, but now that's not even safe. So 2-2, but scary.
The only hopium I have potentially is potentially like, yeah, that Thursday night game wasn't pretty, yeah, but they got a win. They got back in the win column, and the pressure mounts in Dallas, and there's one thing then when there's pressure because you've been good and you can't break through, but there's also pressure when you're dedicating $100 million to 2 players, and there's more pressure there. And surprise, those 2 surprising haven't been any of the issue. I actually personally think. I think Dax played very well. I think CD's played well. But the thing there is like my hopium is maybe that win, even though it was the Giants, even though it was on the road, even though we lost some guys, maybe they just poked a little hole into that bubble and can just relieve some pressure. And maybe they can get back on the right track. They had a mini bye. They're going against Pittsburgh. They have a good team, Pittsburgh, and a good defense. But the Flacco performance this weekend really made me a little more confident against that secondary. He kind of dealt when he wanted to. And I know they have better receivers than the Cowboys all around, but we'll see. But if it goes sideways and the year goes down, maybe the goal, Ashton Junty, Boise State, that's what I want them to grab.
That'd be sick.
That's the Cowboys' outlook as of week 4. But on the other side of the ball, we took it down to the Windy City, 2-2, a big win, a gritty win, very Bears-esque.
Very Bears-esque.
Kind of really good impact of what we asked to see last week, I felt like. You had boots on the ground. What was the experience like? First game. I know Caleb he threw a touchdown at home.
Yep.
What was that like being there? That was his first one, right?
Your first one at home, yep. It was great. I hadn't been to a Bears game in a good few years, and obviously living in the city versus driving in from the suburbs was a different experience. So woke up after a long Saturday night, woke up bright and early on Sunday, met our dad. Me, 2 buddies went and met our dads who had driven down from the suburbs, tailgated for a little bit, walked over to the stadium. It was honestly way more convenient than I thought to get there. I know one of the big gripes with Soldier Field was it's in the worst spot, worst parking, yada, yada, yada. As far as the city goes, that was pretty cool. So get to the game.
How far are you from there? Like from your apartment?
Like 5 miles. Like 5 miles. But on the train it was super easy. It was like 20 minutes. Early in the game, the Boo Birds were out in Soldier Field, and rightfully so. I was right there with them. I was leading the charge. There was a play I called out beautifully. It was 3rd and 3 early in the game, first or second offensive drive. They ran split backs a lot, which I thought was interesting. A running back on both sides of the quarterback and shotgun. They motioned Cole Kmet out from the backfield. So he ended up the most inside receiver of a trip set, and I go, oh no, it's a tight end bubble, isn't it? 3rd and 3, Kmet flashes to the flat. It wasn't exactly a bubble, but same purpose, basically a screen pass to the tight end. Cole Kmet has never broken a tackle in his goddamn life. So third, he gets 1 yard, and 220, 240-pound tight end can't make one DB miss. Don't get the first down. Don't go for it. Boos were coming there. Not great runs at the beginning of the game, but DeAndre Swift looked great. Looked great. I have been singing from the rooftops that he is still very good, but just misused. He is great with the ball in space. He is not a guy that you just have run into the back of your lineman like a David Montgomery, a Jordan Howard for past Bears fans. He's a guy you get out in space. You throw him screen passes, you run him off tackle, you run counter plays with him, and that's where we seem to have a lot of success. Again, the Rams defense isn't great, so I'm not going to crown us as the next great rushing team or anything, but it was very promising to see. We did see a little bit more Roshan Johnson. I honestly would like to see more of him. Shane Waldron this week said we were going to see an extended look of his, and maybe that was all we needed to get DeAndre Swift going. But Roshan Johnson's almost 4 or 5 yards of carry himself. It was great to see DeAndre Swift get going, but when Roshan's been that consistent, maybe DeAndre Swift is your third down back. He is your receiver back. So it was promising to see the run game get going. Caleb Williams did have some mistakes. He missed a wide open Romo Dunze for a touchdown. The whole stadium was like, what are you doing? But overall, still very consistent underneath and over the middle. No turnovers, which was amazing. He was hyped. He was hyped. He was very animated when he threw a dot to the back of the end zone to DJ Moore. By the second half, the team looked great. And the MVP of it all, Torrey Taylor, Iowa Hawkeye. Some great punts, one that really bounced on the one and barely went into the end zone. But it was a great experience overall, not without its drama, some typical Bears stuff of inconsistent offense and great defense to bail them out. But I think all we did was give up 6 field goals. Stafford didn't really look like he was there to play. Honestly, should have had another interception that was overturned because the guy had stepped out of bounds. But I'll be back there next week. I was in the north end zone for the Rams game. I will be in the south end zone for the Panthers game. And now I'm excited. At halftime, I was like, oh, I can't believe I got to come back here next week. It's going to suck. But 2-2, feeling way better than a lot of other 2-2 teams as I see.
Yeah, I watched the game. It wasn't one. It was since it was the Rams. It was a local channel game. It wasn't like a red zone game,
Okay.
and I was excited to watch. I was kind of interested to see how the game would go. I think the Rams were at a kind of a disadvantage coming into the game. No Puka, no Cooper Kupp. But that being said, they played very well against San Francisco, which is a really good defense. And I was really excited to see how they played against a good Bears defense. I think the Bears defense is starting to get a little more recognition. It's nice having Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, because more people are watching the Bears defense.
Yep.
The Bears defense is good. I'm not ready to say they're number 1. I'm not ready to say they're best defense in the league, but they make things very difficult for even a vet, a Super Bowl winning quarterback like Matt Stafford. The way I looked at the game was a tale of two halves. It felt like for the first half, they didn't learn anything from the last 2 weeks, and it was the same Bears team that we've been watching. Couldn't get Swift moving. The run game was bad. I know they went for it on 4th down once, and Caleb actually tried to keep her. It was short. That was in the first half. I was like, what the hell are they doing? I saw at halftime, I saw a tweet that, or maybe it was before Sunday, one of the buddies sent one in the group chat that the vets plus Caleb sat Shane Waldron down.
Yes.
More aggressive, which was crazy to see. But I will say, Caleb looked better. I don't think he was great yet. I still don't think he was great yet. That Rome touchdown was wide open. It was a very bad throw. He was open. That's a throw you can't miss. But very encouraging to see him not throw a pick, not take a sack. He took a couple sacks, don't get me wrong, but felt like the last couple of weeks he had a couple sacks where maybe the ball was loose. He kind of kept the ball closer to the chest this time. Really like that. Totally agree on Torrey Taylor. I saw he had 22% impact to change the game.
Yep.
With in that second half, he was fantastic. I know Caleb, I guess, has lied to him now at this point and said he won't need you much. They will need him a lot. He is important. But defense showed out. That was great. They got D Swift going. I talked about it this weekend with some buddies that it's tough. I know they signed D Swift and they got him and everything's going well, but it's tough from the Eagles O-line to the Bears O-line. I mean, you took the money, but you're going to have to battle through it. And he battled for it this past week.
Also was the leading receiver. He was also the leading receiver.
Yes. And Roshan was fantastic. I saw on Thursday they were going to get him more involved. I was reading more about him. I still don't want to cut Herbert's snaps. I actually am a big fan of Herbert. I think he's very good too. Good problem to have, having three backs that are serviceable and have there.
Mm-hmm.
And looking ahead, Carolina, a very good chance to potentially be 3-2 at 5 games in. And I think that's a lot of confidence building for Caleb. I would like to see Caleb keep going, keep building another no turnover game. He looks better, much better second half, and just keep building on this, learning, talking. I liked seeing him talk on the sidelines more. It looked like he was more
Yes.
comfortable. It looks like the last couple weeks he was like, I'm a rookie, I stink, I'm in my head, nobody's talking to me. And it looked like some vets were picking him up. Him and DJ were kind of talking a little more this week, learning a little more about each other, just getting the mesh going.
We got to get that figured out because DJ Moore, he has been in Chicago for 3-ish years now and has been a part of some not so good teams. The team that got the number 1 pick, our team last year had a top 10 pick as well. And quarterback play, I would say overall was worse with Justin Fields. Like there were more mistakes. There were bigger mistakes. There was a lot of turnovers and losses that happened in the fourth quarter. And DJ Moore smiled through all of it. Now this offseason we extend him, and now he's a kind of a pouty crybaby. He was a really good character guy to have in the locker room for a rebuilding team, but now you see him standing off by himself, kind of being vocally upset, which is not something that we saw from him earlier in his career, even in Carolina when they weren't that good. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's a little jealous of the bromance getting formed between Rome and Caleb, and maybe we just need to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. I would say that DJ Moore pass was probably one of the longer passes that Caleb has completed as Bear. There's one place that we need to really honestly be critical of him of, it's his downfield passing. He's getting the ball out very quickly as being on time and on target for these hitches, these underneath guys, a lot of screens happening right now, but he has just blatantly missed some downfield passes. And DJ Moore has excelled in the screen game too, so maybe there's more than we know. Maybe him and Waldron aren't connecting because a lot of screens seem to be going to tight ends, which I don't love, but we need to get DJ Moore going. He is a big reason that we are in a pretty good position as a team over the last few years. He's a big part of that. He's a captain, so don't like seeing him upset for the time being. So need to get him going. But also, yeah, Shane Waldron, he learned in the second half. I hope there was another halftime meeting because, like you said, tale of two halves. We looked like we didn't know what we were doing in the first half. So let's stack a couple more wins. I hope to go to a lot more Bears games this year. I know other games happened around the league, so let's get to that now. But Caleb continues to improve, and I am still excited about him.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's 4 weeks in. I think that the fact that people are still excited. I saw a video of that first touchdown just from a crowd view, and I think those fans, the whole crowd went nuts. Like it was like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
this is a different feeling. And it's not even to say like you just want to see progression. I felt like even though Fields sometimes you saw good, you saw bad, it was kind of stagnant progression. Whether he was getting and let's not like let's be truthful. Like the weapons weren't as good. The defense
Yep.
wasn't as good. The O-line was still bad. Like, let's like be honest about it. But at the end of the day, like it was kind of stagnant production. You're seeing kind of still like, it might not be like 3 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 8. It's just like, it's just still trending up
Yep.
until we find a real downtick. Like I think we'll be chilling there. Around the league, though, you're right. There were some other good games. I was miserable this week in my pick'em. I'll say that after being 10 plus in the last 3 weeks, not a good week. I think first, Eagles Bucks, Eagles ass. I think the Eagles are ass. I don't want to give them any credit for oh, they didn't have Devontae Smith, oh they didn't have AJ Brown. A lot of quarterbacks don't have a lot of players. That's why you pay guys that money. We've been hearing it about Dak. We've been hearing about Herbert. We've been hearing about Lamar and Josh. Quarterbacks get paid. They have to elevate their talent. And Jalen Hurts does not elevate talent. He stinks. He stinks. He stinks. He's not good. He has 28 turnovers in 26 games in his last 26 games. He's not good. He can't elevate talent. The Philly defense is bad. I think it might be 95-85, winner or loser. I don't even know in the Cowboys Eagles game. They're both just going to give up like a million points. So that's my take on the Eagles. But Baker continues to shine.
Baker, love seeing Baker thrive. The Bucks are good, but little Tom Brady Baker beef.
Yeah,
Hitting on
I
that
don't even
first.
know what happened. What happened?
I don't like it. I don't like it from either of them, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure how it went down, but basically Baker said something along the lines of, yeah, it was really stressful when Tom Brady was here. Like there's expectations of things to be done a certain way. Like it wasn't always fun to come into work is basically what he was saying. Um,
Okay.
I don't know why you'd throw the GOAT under the bus like that. And also, Tom Brady's response to that was very valid. Oh, I thought the expectation of this team was to win a championship. So I was doing what I do as Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, and bringing a championship mentality to the
Yeah,
organization. So sorry if that wasn't good enough for you, Baker.
that's how
What
I
the
understood
heck?
it too, and I was like, "What's the issue here? Like, why is this a bad thing?" That's how I understood it too. So I'm glad that was like not me like
Weird.
misunderstanding.
I'm hoping that Baker's like it was saying it more in a joking way and it kind of just got taken out of context. But like it makes no sense for him to say that. Tom Brady's response was valid, but also like, why is this a discussion? So moving on from
Right.
that and into the game, Jalen Hurts he has to stop turning the ball over. I am a faux Phillies fan. Usually about now when I abandon the Bears, I go into the Philadelphia sports. I'm very excited for the Sixers. I'll be riding the Phillies in Red October, and I do like the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts, he's got that winner's mentality, a lot of the intangibles you'd like to see in a quarterback. But lately, I don't know what the deal. I do know what the deal is actually. You let's be honest about what he is. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He is not the best pocket passer. He is able to thrive with his legs and his arm. Missing your two best receivers, two of the top receivers in the league, does hurt, obviously. But you know what you should do as an offense, as a play caller in those situations? Give the ball to the running back the best running back in the league that you just traded for and are going to be paying a lot of money. Saquon Barkley touches the ball
12.
12 times in that game. Absolutely ridiculous, especially with the way he had started the year out in Brazil against the Packers. He can catch the ball, he can run the ball. He is truly elite at
Can he catch the
everything
ball?
most of the time. Most of the time. Um, I don't get it. I really think at this point there was been rumors of Sirianni and Hurts not getting along. Sirianni, who knows what he
Sirianni's
really does?
miserable.
Offensive, defensive vibes guy, I guess, but his vibe is just cringy and annoying for the most part. They still have the tush push. I think they could hire another person to call a tush push on 4th and 1 and go for it. But if there's a division there, even though Jalen Hurts may not be the most elite quarterback in the league, he has still proven that he can step up in big moments way more than Nick Sirianni has. I think this relationship is pretty much as good as dead. Whether or not they're having problems, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni individually, he doesn't have this team doing the right things. They, like I said with Swift, when they were running the ball, they're one of the best running teams in the country, in the league. They have one of the best O lines. There was a stat about Lane Johnson, how much they win with or without him, and it was a 40% swing over like 150, 250 games. They won like 68% of their games when Lane Johnson played, and only won like 40% of their games when he didn't play. Didn't play last week, lost again. So obviously injuries, they happen. You have to find a way to win without that. And one way would be running the ball. They constantly just get away from running the ball, controlling the game when your defense is known to give up big plays, and just getting themselves out of the game. Why get yourself in a shootout when you have a team built to just run the ball and control the clock and kind of play this like Michigan football that they just choose not to do because it has more aura to just have Jalen Hurts throw the ball deep to the other team? I don't get it. Nick Sirianni sucks. There's nothing to defend him on.
Thing was perfect. You hit it all perfect. I like seeing them struggle just as much as us. I still think they're in the driver's seat to win the division, only because nobody wins the division 2 years in a row in the NFC East for some reason. It's been 20 years since back to back was the Eagles. I think the Commanders have a great chance to do it, but
Yep.
still a young quarterback. Let's see how they battle. But yeah, I think the Eagles are bad, and Baker continues to shine. Looking at Baker, going to a different side of Baker, let's head over to Vegas. Raiders Browns, and I might be in the minority of saying this, but I think the Browns don't have a Deshaun Watson problem.
I may agree with you, but I need you to elaborate on that.
Okay. I think he has his moments that he actually doesn't look that bad.
Yep.
That being said, that O line is absolutely putrid. Moops and Moose always make fun of it. Like, how do we keep losing more players? Like, it truly actually is mind-boggling. Like, the amount of starters they've lost in that line, the secondary guys they've lost in that line. Like, the line is bad. Line is bad.
They are
I'm
awful.
not saying Deshaun is perfect. I'm not saying he's good even. I'm just saying I don't think he's the number one problem. I think there's a problem on that offensive line. I think they have a drop problem. That pick was awful by Amari. That's all Amari's fault.
Yeah.
All my, and I will defend Deshaun in that situation. Nobody wanted to defend Dak when that was happening to him, so I'll defend Deshaun that happened. That wasn't Deshaun's fault, and it's a Jim Schwartz problem. He can't adjust on defense. The defense looks soft in the second half. 10-0, disgusting, awful performance. They were leading basically the whole game. It's truly remarkable. It's truly remarkable. And the worst thing is, they opened up Chubb's practice window. I don't even think he should come back yet. I think
No
that
way.
line is so bad, it's gonna hurt you. Do not hurt this guy. I wouldn't even put him out there. I would let's see that line recover. Let's see some guys come back, and then maybe give him a chance. Because it's not that's not what you want to put him into the situation. Vegas, they're not good. No Max Crosby, no Devontae Adams. Who else didn't they have? They had someone else out. They had someone else out too.
Yeah.
They had 3 of their best players out. Didn't matter. They won again. I don't know if that's good coaching. I don't know. The Browns are cursed. I'm okay saying that. I know that. And I feel for our friends. But
Yeah.
it was pathetic. Now, I did compliment Deshaun, but I will say this. 4th down, that last drive, can't take a sack there. Disgusting to take a sack there. Awful sack. Can't happen. But the Browns are in trouble. The only good thing that came out of the Browns game was we got another Fanta video.
Yeah.
He's great.
I found the O-line stats. I was really in a deep dark hole about the Bears O-line after last week, and I was like, wow, the Browns have it kind of way worse than we do. So
yeah,
that is a problem. I would used it to defend Justin Fields over the last 3 years. Oh, it's just the line's fault. It's just the line's fault. Deshaun needs to be better. He has not shown a lot of promise in Cleveland, especially at the price tag that they have him at, and we know that.
sure.
But the offensive line, like that's truly worse. It's back to old Browns. There were some flashes. Baker, the Baker era had some promise to it. You sign a marquee quarterback before you know any of this other stuff, but it's going back to old Brown stuff, like simple, basic football. Like you don't have an O-line, you can't really run an offense. So and I agree with your takes around the defense. Deshaun Watson is a problem, a $275 million problem.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter if you have a $1 guy or a $275 million guy. He's not going to do shit behind that offensive line. It is fucking atrocious.
And I said it a couple weeks ago when Jake and I were hosting, because that was after they beat Jacksonville. They were 1-1. I said, there's a very good chance they're 4-1 by the end of the month. There's a very good chance they're 1-4.
Yeah.
Like I said, oh, they have New York coming up, and they have Vegas coming up, and they have Washington coming up. Washington is firing. They might be 1-4.
Yeah.
And we call
that just goes to show you that just goes to show you how weird of a spot the league is in right now. Like any of these
league
teams
is weird.
Yeah. But Browns are in trouble. They're fading back to what they know best, and that is not good football. So I fear for the Cleveland faithful.
I fear for the Cleveland faithful, and staying in that same vein of like nobody really being like that great. I think the 3 AFC juggernauts, we saw a lot about them this week. Chiefs sucked against the Chargers. Another bad game. They have not looked good again, but somehow, some way, they're 4-0. Not only
let me tell you something. They're 4-0 because they got a guy wearing number 15 under center.
He's not playing well. He's not. He's top 5 in interceptions right now. He's not playing.
That's fine. 4-0.
The defense is stepping up for them. Not the offense.
Their defense is sick. But when it's 10-10, it's a slugfest. It's a Jim Harbaugh masterclass game. Not masterclass. There's more.
They had nobody playing.
Neither team did. But it's a slugfest. Not something the Chiefs are necessarily used to. But fourth quarter comes around. You got the ball in number 15's hands. Pat Mahomes did what Pat Mahomes does. Easily goes down the field to go up 17-10. Ends up being a game-winning drive. There's still no one between Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. Why am I blanking on their defensive coordinator's name right now?
Spagnola.
They're sick. They're the best team in football. They're undefeated for a reason. The fact that they are continuing to win these games, Rashee Rice, we'll see over a larger sample size than just this one game of what his impact means. But we saw Pat Mahomes with no receivers last year, receivers that literally would tip the
But they
ball into
had Rasheed.
interception.
They had Rasheed last year.
They had Rashee. They also had Kadarius Toney, who was a double agent for the other team at every single play. They're still great. I don't think the fact that we haven't seen them play a good game and they are still undefeated just goes to show championship DNA is a real thing. They know their back is against the wall. It is hard to win in this league. They have I don't think they have structural problems. They have injuries are a problem. They don't have
injuries.
They don't have the bad coaching. They have some injuries. Hopefully we'll see some people back. Rashee Rice most likely done for the year, but I will never doubt them again. I'm not going to be stupid again.
I'm not doubting them. I just think that it's crazy they're 4-0. I don't think they've played good at all. I mean, break down every single game. They are an Isaiah Likely big toe away from losing.
Yep.
A Harrison Butker miss from losing to the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, losing.
Likely would have scored to give them an opportunity for a 2-point conversion to win the game.
I think that would have tied the game, and they were going for 2. They came out saying they were going for 2.
2 would have been to win the game.
It was down 1. It was down. Yeah, right. So they would have won the game. That's what I'm saying.
An opportunity of a 2-point conversion.
Likely big toe to get there. A Harrison Butker kick again. Week 3, they played Atlanta with a phantom no PI in the end zone.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Week 4, 17-10 to a team with no Joey Bosa, no Joe Alt, no Rashawn Slater, no Derwin James. Mm-hmm. This team, we should have spanked them, and they battled again. Now, you're right. Championship DNA is real, but I think this is the Chiefs' worst nightmare. They need Xavier Worthy to step up and be that 1 when he was supposed to be the 3. Yeah. No Hollywood, no Rasheed, no Pacheco. People are going to smother Kelsey now. Let's see how Worthy steps up. And I think they have a running back problem. No Carson Steele. Kareem was much better, but Carson
he can still play.
Another fumble for Carson Steele. So if Kareem's got to get going, this is going to be very interesting to see. I think it's still very open. I don't know what the final diagnosis is for Rasheed. It's still open. I think it's going to probably be something bad still, but I think it's still very open. I would like to see them play a good game. I know they're going to play a good game, and obviously Travis dominated again this week. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm not saying they're not still a Super Bowl favorite. I'm just saying they haven't played a good game yet, and they're 4-0, and I don't know. I don't know what to say.
The league, it's our worst nightmare that they haven't played a good game and are 4-0, but it's also their worst nightmare with the spot they're in for personnel. So NFL is weird. I think that's all the games we have scheduled to talk about.
I was going to say that Ravens crushed the Bills. Ravens are back. That's all.
Shocked. I truly was shocked about that.
And nobody slanders Josh Allen, even though he's a AFC Dak, and they're the AFC Cowboys.
Yeah, that was bad. I'm a Josh Allen fantasy owner, and I think he had like 9 points or less, so that wasn't fun.
Yeah, less than 100 yards at half, no points, same defense, got crushed, better defense on his end. People call me a madman. Shifting gears to college real quick before we go into our Around the World segment, which is going to be one for the books, I believe. Game of the weekend first, Bama, Georgia. Incredible game. 17-year-olds are ruining the world now. There's kids playing the game. They're eating the dogs, the whole 9 yards. Trump was there. What a freaking game.
So I didn't watch it at first. I was at an OSU bar. Both started at 6:30. One TV out of about 50 had the Bama Georgia game on. So I was kind of keeping an eye on it. Left at halftime, was able to tune in. I was shocked. So I'm a big Joel Klatt fan. I was listening to his podcast this week. He said a couple things. We haven't seen Bama have a need to sustain drives. And we also have seen Bama's defense show the ability to give up big plays. They have 4 new starters in that defensive secondary. So they've shown
a true freshman,
2 true freshmen, 2 transfers. They had shown on film. Receivers have gotten behind them. There have been some miscommunications. No teams have been able to capitalize on it. The beauty of being at Bama. Offensively, they haven't had to have 12, 14, 16 play drives. Jalen Milroe is one of the best athletes in the country. Ryan, he's only 17 Williams, is dope. They score on the big play. So against a team like Georgia, a really well-coached team with Kirby Smart, not to say Kalen DeBoer isn't great as we saw this weekend, but not as experienced, not an SEC coach quite yet. He quickly put those rumors to bed. Bama still played their game. They scored on big plays. It didn't matter. They were down 28 when you have the ability to score on those big plays. So maybe it was best case scenario for them to go down that early because it gave them the time to come back. Ryan Williams with probably top 5 play I've ever seen in a football game. Under 2
Can't even
minutes
do it
left.
in a video game. Can't even do it
You
in a
can't
video
even
game.
do it in a video game. Under 2 minutes left. Georgia scores to go up 1. It is nightmare fuel for Alabama. But no, Jalen Milroe throws a very contested ball to the 17-year-old on the outside with under 2 minutes
Didn't
to go.
matter.
Didn't matter. It makes 2 Georgia guys fall into each other. His profile picture on Instagram is Michael Vick holding a dog, which is that's just crazy.
Crazy.
Bama's rank 1, and I thought I feared Oregon going into the season. I would say I feared Georgia and Oregon the most. Oregon because they're in conference, but now we got Texas, we got Georgia, we got Bama, we got Oregon, we got Penn State still lurking down there somewhere. I'm scared. I'm scared of Bama. I don't think they have any structural problems, but I think we can outcoach them. Perhaps, maybe that's crazy to say, but that was a game of the year so far, no question.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Awesome freaking game. Great back and forth. I mean, in the first half, I was like, wow, I was shocked the first half. Because we had 2 TVs on. I had some friends over because they were at the same time from Ohio State, Michigan State. And obviously, Ohio State was on the big TV. We care about that. But the other side TV was Georgia, Alabama. And we were like, man, 28-0. What a freaking disaster. And it was 7 and 10. And then they get a safety. So it's 30. And then it's 14 and 21 and 28. And oh my God, they're ahead. And it was incredible. And then Jalen Milroe consistently stays strong. Great throw. Ryan Williams, another catch. Awesome game. Alabama's good. This 12-team playoff, I saw a crazy take, and it was like, did the 12-team playoff actually ruin that game? Like, did the 12-team playoff ruin that game? Like think about last year. That game would have been so important, you know? But I think it actually is good for the sport. You don't knock out Georgia. You don't penalize. Because, like, I actually do believe if that game ends 30-7 or 35-7, I think Georgia's in big trouble. I think they're dropping maybe out of the top 6. I think it's very embarrassing. They were the favorite. They showed some fight. They took the lead. They almost won. They dropped to the right spot. I think they're 3 or 4 now, whatever, and keeps them alive. I know Alabama's got Texas left. I know Texas has Oklahoma left. I know we have Penn State and Oregon and Michigan left. It's going to be madness. I think the 12-team playoff now, I'm excited about it. I wasn't excited for it. Like, I think we're going to get real playoffs. Like, I think we're going to get, like, NFL-style playoffs in college football, which is going to be great. And I can't wait for it. I mean, even just this weekend, another game we wanted to hit on, Ole Miss, number 6 in the nation. Kentucky storms in, beats Ole Miss, first time beating them since 1978 at home.
That's wild.
Incredible win on the road. Kentucky also is 2 points away from probably being the number 1 team in the nation.
Are they? I don't get it. They're not like a marquee game because
they're not good.
They were like 2-score dogs in this game too, but they almost beat Georgia and have like
13-12
honestly like coaching mess ups to put them out of a position to win that game. Smoke Ole Miss, and like Lane Kiffin has been around the block a good few times. Jackson Dart was Heisman hopeful heading into the year. Like, what is going on in Kentucky right now?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I think they are one field goal something away last week. If they beat, or 2 weeks ago, if they beat Georgia, they're the number 1 team in the nation. How could you say they're not? How could you say they're not? Georgia and Ole Miss. So I think Kentucky is going to be a very tough out. They might play spoiler. They might get in late if they can go 10-2 or 9-3, something like that. They have good wins, like there's going to come a point in time where teams are going to start beating up on each other and there's going to come losses. If Georgia goes on a run where they lose some games, like, what if Georgia doesn't? So, I mean, that's a conference loss. So that game was crazy. Michigan game was disgusting again, bailed out by the refs on that onside kick. Another under 100-yard game for Orji. I think he had another pick as well. Minnesota, tough game, played well. Came up short. I saw, but it was a great game. I watched the second half. I was kind of off and on watching other morning
Yeah.
games, but it was a good game. And I had a friend over for the Michigan State Ohio State game, and he went to USC, big USC fan. They beat Wisconsin, which we're not going to touch on. But he said
Yeah.
to me, he's like, man, like I know, like I've always watched it because like I love college football, but he's like the Big Ten is no joke when you're in it. And no one's a tough out, or no one's an easy out. I'm sorry, no one's an
Yeah.
easy out. And I saw it in that USC Wisconsin game. You see it on the lines against UCLA. You see it on the lines against Oregon. Like the Big Ten is very good, and I don't know if it helped just like breaking off from the two conferences because like Indiana's 4-0, Rutgers is 4-0, Minnesota's playing well. Like the teams that usually get stuck losing to Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State in the same year are getting to
Yep.
break out and like dominate. And the Big Ten is kicking ass. The Big Ten is good. Like very cool to see, but Michigan still not impressed. Surprisingly, 2.5-point underdogs at Washington this week. I think they're still free money, though. I don't know why you wouldn't take Michigan, but I don't really know what to say there.
I can't figure it out, and I was on the wrong side of it last year where they never really impressed me, but they still did everything correct. They
But it
don't make
looked, it was
mistakes.
different. It was
It's
different.
different. It's 100% different this year, but I'm trying to talk myself out of the same song and dance I've done the last 2 years with them with, oh, they don't do anything that well. They run the ball effectively. They throw it if they have to, which now it's when they really only absolutely have to, they will throw the ball. And even then it's not a sure thing. Defensively, they're shoring up more and more each week. I still think they definitely don't have the dogs that they did last year. They just don't have the guys, but that O-line, we said they lost pretty much all 5 starters. This group only had a fraction of the starts together that group that just graduated had together. But they're vulnerable. I'm still not worried about Ohio State, but they're still Michigan. They still have all the bones. Sharon Moore has studied under Jim Harbaugh for years now, and they seem to be able to do it. That converted linebacker at running back is a tough cookie. Like he is running angry, and they're still doing all the things that they have in their blueprint to win games. They're controlling the ball. They're controlling the clock. They're not turning the ball over. They are more than last year. I mean, they were a 16-0 national championship team last
Right.
year, but they're still vulnerable. We need someone to either just go over the top and break them open, and they won't be able to play from down. And that was a case of
That
theirs last year,
I
but they
100%
never
agree.
were down.
And Texas, we saw it this year with Texas, but it was no orgy. I would like to
Yeah.
see them with orgy. I would like them to maybe start 14-0. What does a team like that look like when you have to make him throw? What does a team
Yep.
like that look like when you have to throw 40 times or 30 times, let's just say in college? I mean, not to say their schedule is easy at any means. I mean, they got Washington on the road, then they go to Illinois, then they're home. I'm sorry, it's a bye, then Illinois on the road, then home against Michigan State, which we'll get on them on a second. Then
Yep.
they have Oregon. Then they go on the road to a tough Indiana team that's not going to give it up for anybody this year. Northwestern and then us. So very interesting to see. I would like to see them get down 10-0, not even 14-0,
Yep.
10-0.
Yeah, I agree.
And let's see them play from behind. I'm very fascinated to see that. I think you're right. Let's see them throw the ball. We know what they can do on the ground. Let's see them throw the ball. Yeah. And wrapping up college football, the Buckeyes, obviously another huge win. Best part about being 4-0, chance to be 5-0.
Yes, sir.
I think the Buckeyes looked awesome on Saturday. Some minor things. The Will Howard pick, I thought was his worst throw of the season.
Yeah, agreed.
I actually thought he should have had one earlier in the game that got dropped in the end zone. He had that one that should have been picked off. It was dropped in the end zone. So that one, he earned one pick, I will say. I don't give a crap about your 17-year-old. We have a better 18-year-old. I'll say it. Jeremiah Smith is unbelievable out there. He's incredible. I saw a side-by-side video of my MVP of the game is Chip Kelly. Let me put that out there. Chip Kelly's my MVP
Big
of the game.
stuff. Yep.
I saw a side-by-side video of the touchdown Jeremiah Smith had, not the catch, the running play. Same exact design as the Xavier Worthy touchdown play week 1 for the Chiefs. Same
Awesome.
exact play.
Love that.
Awesome call. Look like finally we're in Big Ten play. We're expanding the playbook. Love that. 2 turnovers by the defense. Love that. Most importantly, didn't let Childs run all over us.
Huge.
That was a big worry of mine. I know their line isn't great, but I was kind of worried that the linebackers and the safeties would kind of give up, let them scramble for 10, 15 at a time. Never happened. Never happened. 7 yards, gave up less yards to Michigan State than they did in Marshall. Really like that.
Yep.
Very good team. Uncovered another great win. I thought everybody played well. Stop giving Devin Brown snaps in the second half.
Very fair. My one note, I will die on this hill. We saw it happen with the Cowboys in years past. I'm not relying against turnover. I will go as far to say turnovers are empty stats to a point. Teams like Marshall, teams like Western Michigan, and borderline even teams like Michigan State, when you have the caliber of player that Ohio State has, we forced two incredibly important turnovers in the red zone. We were never in danger of losing this game. I'm not like we're suck, hit the panic button. Less yards to Michigan State than Marshall is the stat I want to circle. The defense stepped up way bigger after not getting a
Caleb
defensive
Downs,
player
silver
of the week.
bullet after no silver bullet.
Caleb Downs was sick. He was all over the field. A much better effort overall. But Childs he's not Dylan Gabriel. He's not some of these other guys. And forcing turnovers is great and is good habits, but the best teams we're going to face, and that's who we have to compare ourselves to every single week, are not going to turn the ball over like that. So I'm not going to say like they turn into 7 points. And we did get the turnovers. So again, being very nitpicky, at being blessed to have the ability to be very nitpicky, but I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, we're like getting all these turnovers. We've barely started conference play. Turnovers are great, but I'd rather see sacks, other stuff like that, because they're not going to turn the ball over like
I think you're absolutely right when you play Western Michigan, when you play Marshall. Those are empty stats. 1,000% I agree. It's just nice to get the ball back and score again in those games. That's why I view turnovers. But in these games, like Michigan State isn't easy out. Like they're tough on the road in East Lansing, rainy game. Like those turnovers count. Like we had them in the rounds, they count. I understand not relying on them, but it's not like we were like, oh, thank God for another turnover. Like I think we had 2 fumbles and a pick. I didn't Denzel have a pick.
Yeah.
So 3 turnovers. So like I'm pretty sure. I mean, we can check that, but
2 or 3, regardless.
Yeah, regardless. I think it was still impressive. I thought they were great to watch. They're fun, man. It's so fun.
They're very
watching
fun.
the offense. It's crazy to me. Yeah, 2 fumbles lost and a pick. So 3 turnovers we got. It's fun. I love watching them. I was actually kind of shocked screaming at the TV the first drive. We ended up getting a field goal and going up 3-0 on that first drive. And we came out of the gates gunslinging. Like I don't think I think we ran 1 time on that entire first drive. And I was like, what are we doing? We have 2 guys that are crazy running the ball. My one other stat of the day, I did text it to you today, which I think
big stat. Is awesome.
Actually insane. We've learned all offseason that, the best thing about Judkins and Travion is that they work together. And the reason they're playing together is because they want to save themselves and they don't want to be the lead guy and carry the ball 200 times. But I read this today as a stat, immediate impact. I think it honestly saves them for their career, maybe not their whole career, but at least this year getting to the NFL level. They're both going to get drafted. I think this is incredible. But James Peoples, true freshman, the 3rd string running back, has more carries than Travion Henderson. Q has 47, Peoples 32, Trey 31. The ability to keep your backs fresh is great. Q leads our roster with 47 carries. He's 119th in the nation, tied for 119th with carries. To put it into perspective, Ollie Gordon, who's the best back, people say in the nation, he's
Allegedly.
got 88. Iowa's running back has 82. Khalil Mullings has 77. Even Notre Dame's quarterback, Riley Leonard, I think has 69 carries. So more carries than all of them. Like, incredible stat. And to anybody saying, well, Will Howard isn't throwing the ball, he's got 200 less yards than Dylan Gabriel. So he's playing well, they're running well. Like, the offense is there. And looking ahead, we obviously have Oregon in 2 weeks, night game officially announced. But honestly, I know we have a mini gauntlet, but dare I say this is a perfect mini test this week.
I think that's fair. Iowa at home this week. Looney will be in attendance, which will be
big. Let's go.
Good boots on the ground there. At Oregon for a confirmed night game
too. Actually, thinking about it, my parents and Meg, they're all going, but not me.
Do they know to fear the Hawkeyes? Do they know the Midwestern? All right, I'm glad they know. I will never look past Iowa. At the very least, it'll be a great test. God. Home is good, but will be a great test against a good, just like gritty defense. If they drag us down to play some Big Ten football, they could be our Michigan practice squad. Oregon in 2 weeks, then Nebraska, Penn State, Michigan a couple weeks later. A perfect mini test. I feel good. I feel really good. The Buckeyes are great. They're fun to watch on both sides of the ball. Continue cleaning up the little things. I'm glad that we're not super heavily penalized. Keeping the running backs fresh is insane. Someone like Ashton Genty has a ton of miles on him, especially getting up to that NFL level. We just went through the NFL talking about all of the injuries across the board that people are facing. Best ability is availability, and we know what we're fighting for this year. So I love
Absolutely.
it. The Buckeyes are
Yeah,
great.
great. Blessed to be a Buckeye again. Another great week. Yeah, Iowa's gonna be fun this week. Let's beat them. Is Matt McNamara's not the quarterback? Is he?
He he was the starter as of a couple weeks ago. I can never tell if he's healthy or has having a pulse.
Well, let's get him because I know he's taken us before. So let's get up early, and let's put our backups in again. I love seeing the backups, but no more Devin Brown, please. Even though he
Yeah,
threw the touchdown,
please.
even though he threw the touchdown to JJ, no more Devin Brown.
Sweet ball.
Wrapping up our first segment before we get to clutch moment of the week, we have around the world. I'm gonna let Joey kind of take the ball on this one. We obviously do life here and there, but we've done around the world before. This one's going to include 2 pop culture stories that are going on, and it's a month out from election season. We have our last policies that the Sharbers on New York ticket will be submitting in 2037. So, Joey, take it over.
So, for those of you that are not chronically online, there is a rapper who was big in the early 90s and 2000s by the name of P. Diddy, Sean Combs. Sean Combs is a weird guy. So this week, I guess as more is surfacing, we're finding out more and more that this was just right in the public eye the entire time. He was never really doing a good job of hiding anything, and the dude is just a freak. But he got indicted, he got arrested, and is being held without bail until this trial. He is on the hook for 3 things mainly. I did read the full 14-page indictment on Vogue.com earlier today. First, racketeering. Second is sex crimes. And
Okay.
third is I guess it kind of falls in the racketeering, but basically they were kidnapping, trafficking people, trafficking drugs, trafficking money, hosting the freak offs, which is referenced in the legal documents, which is just hilarious. I can't tell if this is consensual or non-consensual.
Oh, you can't?
Well, the question isn't great in and of itself, but besides the fact, so there was crimes for like forced work, crimes for arson. So basically, like they kidnapped and like had these
Wow.
girls as like slaves practically, participating in these weird sex parties that Diddy would host with his thousands of bottles of baby oil, which was also referenced in the legal documents. It's
I have a
not just
statement on that.
Twitter.
I have a
Okay.
statement on that one.
Okay.
Oh, so his lawyer came out and said that he goes to
Uh-huh.
Costco and he buys in bulk,
Hmm.
and Costco personnel came out and said we don't sell that money. You can't buy that much in bulk, and we don't sell that brand.
Costco gave Diddy a doom for those of you following the Costco guys.
It's the
But
Rizzler's evil twin, the Diddler.
the diddler. But there's witness tampering. There's rumors that he's getting tied to murders here. There's A-list celebrities that are going to be involved. So not really sure what's true and what's false in terms of circulating around the internet, but he did all this stuff. Did he do it? Did he did it?
Did he did it?
Um it's crazy. It crazy enough to say, and I don't think it's hyperbolic in saying it. It kind of reminds me of the Epstein thing in terms of like trafficking women. There's a
No,
ton of
definitely,
A-listers
definitely,
involved.
yeah.
Jay-Z, Beyonce, who knows? You don't know what I don't know what I want to say or not want to say. If I go missing, it was Diddy. Um, I the biggest story that I actually want to hit on before just keep continuing to yap on it is the Justin Bieber thing. So
Yeah,
there's the rumor and the stories that in Hollywood and show business, there's a lot of weird stuff that needs to be done. Basically, hazing rituals that young artists go through in order to make it
It's like
big.
it's like a embarrassment ritual, not an embarrassment ritual, but like public like a public embarrass. I don't know, but it has to be like public. It has to be in like embarrassing public moment. Like that's what it
Oh,
is. Like that's what basically they say. Like they say John Cena has been going through it for the last like year and a half. Like grew his hair out, had like the
the
president
naked thing.
at the Oscars. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
public humiliation. Public humiliation. That's what it was.
Okay. Um,
Thank
but
God.
even deeper than that, Justin Bieber, famous from Canada, basically was brought in by Usher to show business, which I guess Usher has a long history with Diddy, dating back to when he was about 13 or so. Um, if you look through these old clips, obviously hindsight's 2020 and you don't know what's real or not on the internet, but Justin Bieber is a victim. It seems like he went through
Yeah.
some actually horrible shit with Usher and Diddy. He has teared up in interviews talking about Billie Eilish and other artists coming up on the scene, saying he'll do whatever he can to protect them. He is obviously, it's hard growing up in the spotlight. He was a typical child star, had some problems in his late teens,
When he
early
was
20s,
really
but it's
young
kind of really
too.
straightened
When he
out
was
with it.
really young, it was like I just recently watched that Billie Eilish interview.
Yeah.
Or it's not with Billie Eilish. She's talking about Billie Eilish,
Mhm.
and it's like very sad. Like he's like,
Yes.
I want to protect her. I don't want anything to happen to her. Like she's so great, and now it's to the point where like I don't know if you saw that video of him hugging Diddy and like Diddy was tapping him down to see if he was wearing a
Mm-mm.
wire. Did you see that one?
No, I saw
Like
the Billie Eilish clip.
they like dap up. He says bye, and like when you dap up, like you would hit someone's chest, but like
Yeah.
after he hits his chest, like chest to chest, he's like, all right, I'll see you later. And like if you were touching me right now, like you'd feel my chain, and like he was like going like this, and like he made sure to like really move that chain to see if there was like anything sticking there, and then like touched his back too. Like Diddy was doing that. Really bad shit.
Damn. I mean, who knows where this goes as in terms of A-list people. I really think that we live in a super fucked up world. We've talked about how in this day and age it's like we're living in the plot of the show The Boys. These Hollywood crazy ass sex parties are right up there with anything we've talked about previously. Sadly, similar to the Epstein case, I doubt we get a full list of anyone relevant who's actually involved.
Sure,
But the world is a cruel and nasty place, as Rocky once said. So
it'll
I
beat you
don't
to
know
the
what to
ground.
think of it. It will beat you to the ground. It'll take you to some weird fucking places. I'm truly it's a terrifying story. So we'll be interested to see what comes of it. The memes are great. Maddie is a high school teacher. She said her some of her students were showing her the friend group chat, and it was called Diddy Party. So they got a little lecture from Miss Piggott earlier in the week. But it's crazy. It's crazy. And he should go into jail for a very long time. He is going to drop the soap on purpose so many times.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
it's weird, man. It's weird.
I have a couple takes on the Diddy situation. First of all, if he did buy the baby oil from Costco, do you think he bought a chicken bake while he was there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
gonna give the Costco baby oil and chicken bake a boom, but I'm giving Diddy a doom. Uh, my next thing was you said this theory about Justin Bieber. I saw the theory about Taylor Swift, where basically Taylor Swift, very famous situation at the MTV Awards or VMAs, whatever it was,
Yep.
and Kanye comes on stage. Beyonce should win, and basically the conspiracy is that Kanye kind of tried to save Taylor Swift, to like say Beyonce and Jay-Z, who have to be mentioned with Diddy, like he's saying they're great. They did this. Like Beyonce should have won, and basically trying to like get Taylor out of there. Which I don't know if I believe that theory, but it's crazy to think after all those years that that could be true because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like that moment in time has created like beef for ages. And like
Hmm.
there's beef with her and Kim, and like, you know, Kim and him versus Taylor. Like that beef was so if that's true, that's crazy. And then my other theory I saw was what if Tupac came out and testified against Diddy after 30 years, which would be fucking nuts. But this guy, he's a bad guy.
Bad guy.
I don't really like. I mean, you read the. I didn't read the indictment. That wasn't part of my prep for this week. But incredible fucking story. I, you know, I we joke about like, oh, like I'll be honest. I've joked about who I want to see on that Epstein list: Artie Moreno, Jerry Jones, obviously the typical A-listers that I
Uh
don't
huh.
need. But I don't think we're ever going to get that list. He keeps saying
No.
that if he gets a chance to testify, he's going to spill it all. There's no chance he's going to get that chance to testify. I don't believe he will. I'm not saying it's going to be an Epstein situation. Let's just put that out there. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying that I don't think a prosecutor or a defending attorney would put him up there. So that's my opinion on that. But insane story. It's taken the world by storm. The diddler, he's scary.
One
And
more diddler story.
go ahead,
So he's a real life supervillain. The rat.
Billy
It's
P.
obviously the sex crimes are insane and everything, but he is witness tampered. He is a drug lord, like a full on supervillain mobster.
A
So much
man.
so, pretty much that he has a reputation. P Diddy has a reputation as a car bomber. I don't know the backstory, but allegedly him and J. Cole got into some beef a while
I
back.
have heard this too.
Diddy is a wild one. Never know when he's going to strike. Never know when the diddler will diddle next. J. Cole went practically 2 full years without ever getting into a car. There's videos of him on bikes, on public transportation. It doesn't matter if
Mm.
someone picking him up, something else. So just to go to show that how long this has been going on for and how apparent it was that everyone knew that this guy was messed up and is liable to fly off the handle at any given moment. That is the extent that other A-list celebrities go through to try and avoid getting caught into his grasp. So absolutely insane. Gonna be monitoring this. Hopefully more brain rot. This is
More
so
brain
much
rot.
crazier than
Something to
Drake
definitely
versus
keep.
Kendrick beef. But
Yeah,
yeah.
something to definitely keep an eye on. We say that a lot, keep an eye on, and we always we always deliver on our promises. Last week we talked about the WNBA, we talked about Caitlin Clark and all that going on. I saw Spike, quickly touching on the WNBA, Spike and Kelsey Plum getting into it like it was Reggie Miller and
Yeah.
him back in the 80s. That was crazy. But we're to touch back another thing around the world. We hit on it about a couple months ago, if you remember. The space people that were stuck, that weren't ever going to come back. Elon and SpaceX shot up their rocket to go out and save them, and they made it up there. They got them. They are on track to get back here by February. Obviously, it takes a little while to get back down from that solar system, but they're up there. They found them. They got them. They're fixing up the ship right now. They're going to transfer them over to the SpaceX rocket and get them to the space station before they come home. But crazy story that they made it up there. Like 2 months ago, we said they weren't going to make it back. They're going to die, and now it's got us thinking. Couple questions now at this point. So, Joey, I'm going to ask you. Here we go. Question 1, do you think they can make it back by February?
They'll be back in time for the Super Bowl, yes.
Okay, that was going to be another question. Do you think they'll make it back by the Super Bowl? Because that's early February.
Early
Okay.
February.
So they're making it back for the Super Bowl. Okay. Do you think it was a man and a woman, if anybody didn't remember, a man and a woman. Do you think that she's pregnant, the woman?
I have to say yes. That is a long time they've been up there. They didn't know if or when they were going to make it back. You're stuck up there. The beauty of Earth. Wow. The world is so small with us up here right now. Just the two of us. There's some romantic vibes to a impending doom situation. So I think there's going to be some explaining to do with a miracle space baby.
Do you think there's a better chance of them being pregnant or them not being friends anymore?
I think there's a better chance of them getting pregnant. I
Okay.
think you got 2 really intelligent people up there. At the very least, there needs to be a functional working relationship as you're trying to repair the ship and find your way back home and away from a life or death situation. It's not about being friends. I mean, this is a trauma bonding with one other person on the planet that you won't be able to get anywhere else. But I think it's way more likely that there's been a slip up or two and that there's a space baby on the way.
Interesting. Okay. You think they're going to get divorced with their land spouses?
It would be
Or more of
the
like,
natural
I understand. Like, I think
I
I'm
hope
due
they
for
stay
an
together.
Interstellar rewatch. I think I'm due for one of those.
Fair enough. That'll be tough. It'll be pending that first question. I'm not a
Yeah,
jealous. Maybe I'm a jealous
definitely
person.
pending that first question.
Maybe
Yeah.
I am a jealous person, but depending on their previous relationship before heading to space, I don't know if I'm gonna try. Like, you're up there for that long. I don't know. It's weird. It's a sticky spot. There's going to be a long conversation, some couples therapy to be had. I'm not sure if they've
Definitely.
been able to talk to their spouses. I know they can communicate with Earth, so I'm assuming that they've gotten
Like
them on
those
the horn
videos,
once or twice.
like yeah, like
But there's going to be a conversation to be had for sure. What do you think?
I think pregnant for sure. They'll be back by the Super Bowl as well. And I kind of hope they were like having fun up there, like playing hangman,
Yeah.
and like playing the baseball, like name a player game. I would hope they're doing that. They don't. It doesn't have to be baseball, like pop culture. It can be anybody, like Albert Einstein. And you can be like, oh,
I
Evan,
spy with my
even like
little
Oreo.
eye.
Yeah, like like I hope they had a good time. I think they're probably grateful. I saw the video. It was some of the like most intense hugs I've ever seen when they like saw the other people. Really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I'm happy they got him. Let's get him home. Crazy fucking story. 3 months, 4 months now at this point. It'll be a year, I think, since they've been gone. By the time they get back, so pretty crazy. Last 2 topics around the world. Do you want to do playoff baseball, which is also going on, or campaign promises?
Let's start with our campaign promises because there's two things here that I take very seriously. Very seriously.
Okay, so please remind the audience campaign promises. You know what the goal is.
Sharber Zolnaric 2036, I think our math is.
Yes.
We're already getting it on the list of things that campaign promises we are making as 23 and 24-year-olds right now. Things, platforms that we will be running on when we come of age to
We're revamping
represent them.
airports. We're trying to do the right things.
We're trying to do the right things. We hope to get all of your votes and one day be the supreme leaders of your country. But our first campaign promise is we're getting commercialed to death in more ways than one. So two things that I take very seriously in this here conversation. One, during football season, no more commercial, kickoff, commercial. That's horrible. Throws the whole flow of
Gone.
the game off. I cannot
Gone.
imagine what it's doing to the players. Quality of game, gone. Never happening again.
Gone.
If so, death. Not jail, death. So, no more commercial, kickoff, commercial. Second one, these streaming services. So we had cable growing up. You know, you turn the TV on
You
with
had the
one
box.
remote. You're on one thing. You got the little box. Didn't even take up too much room. Box wasn't too big. Box was fine. All the channels were there. Sometimes you had to pay for an extra channel or two here and there,
Sure.
but it worked out pretty well. One-stop shopping, convenience for everyone. Now, I got 16 fucking streaming services and YouTube TV. None of them work because I don't live with my parents anymore. I haven't watched Netflix in months, and it feels weird to not have
Yeah.
Netflix. All the streaming services suck. I'm going to get cable. I don't care if it's still more expensive. It's a problem. I hate all the streaming services. Sports networks stop selling out to streaming services. I'm not getting Peacock. I'm sorry. I'm not getting Peacock.
I will not eat
that
the
sucks
cock.
too. I will not get the cock. Those are my two big ones. It's bad, especially during football season, and I hate it.
I agree. I think it's tough, especially last week. The Ohio State game was on Peacock, so kind of annoying. Like I mentioned earlier, we were watching the Georgia game on another TV, but it's the most important guy on football weekends is the guy who changed that channel, and you can't change the channel on fucking Peacock. You can't. There's no. What are you gonna go? Oh, hold on. Let me check the score. Exit. Let me go to this streaming service. Check the score. Like, can't do that. So yeah, streaming service. I agree. My two. One you recommended, but another one I have. A day off after the Super Bowl.
Big.
Day off after the Super Bowl. National holiday.
I said that at work and it went over really well. I said that the Monday after the Super Bowl.
And no school, obviously no school too. It's like no school.
Yeah.
No work, but day off.
We're straight. Federal holiday.
Or move the Super Bowl to Saturday. I've heard that has gotten some steam too.
That'd be good.
But I'm out on that. It's a Sunday league.
Fair enough.
And one you recommended, my other one. This is for the work people. This isn't for people in school. This is corporate America forced recess. 30 minutes at 9:30 or 10 o'clock local time. 30 minutes, go outside, get fresh air, get a coffee, talk with your coworkers. But forced recess. I heard this is a suggestion from Kyle. Maybe this has a this may have landed him a spot as the press secretary. So good work for Kyle. I'm glad Kyle has given us some ideas. But yeah, forced recess. Personally, when I'm in the office, my team goes out for coffee in the mornings at around like 10 o'clock. So like we kind of have a break time. But forced recess, I like. I asked Joey when we were talking about this, does that mean you're playing outside, getting sun? He's like, whatever you want to do. You just get 30 minutes, go outside, enjoy forced recess.
So there's a park right outside my building. I live in just like a brownstone, not a very big building. It's a very residential street. And between a few of the houses, it's probably like, it's one of those like city blocks where the houses are very close together. But it's probably about 2 to 3 plots basically. Is this little playground across the street, and there's this kindergarten class. They walk around the corner with the kindergarten rope every single day. This is gonna be tough.
You like to see them enjoying life.
Yes, I like to see them enjoying life, enjoying the playground and playing games. I wish I was doing that. I wish I still had recess, so we're bringing it back. So that is our other campaign promise, courtesy of Press Secretary Kyle Lamb.
Forced recess, day off after the Super Bowl, no more streaming services, and you won't be commercial to death. I understand there's more important things. Immigration, our stance on abortion, the economy. But those 4 we just laid out for you are what the people want, and I hope you guys are willing to accept that. We're happy to debate anybody on our stance, and we hope for your vote. in 12 years. So looking forward to that opportunity. And last round the world topic, just going to hit on it quickly because by the time this comes out, it'll start. Playoff baseball's here. No Angels, no Cubs. Shocker. But awesome time of the year. A lot of wrong side in the playoffs. We got the Guardians. We have the Phillies. We have the Yankees. A lot of wrong side all over. Joey, early thoughts. I don't know if you caught that Mets Braves games today. Awesome game 161 and 162.
Yeah.
But incredible moment. Looking at it now, we're a month out from the World Series. Who's your prediction?
So it's not the Dodgers. Maybe
You've
it's
grown.
the
You've
Yankees.
grown as a seam knower. We started the season. We started this podcast in spring training about spring training. You've grown as a seam knower. What do you think?
Red October all day. Red October all day. Philly,
Okay.
Philly till the day I die. They're a trendy pick. It's been the year of the puppet, the year of the trendy pick. Chiefs get another one.
Year of the chalk.
Year of the chalk. So hopefully it's up there. I think the Phillies would be a good team to see bring it home. I don't want it to be the Braves. I don't have a lot of maybe statistics or knowledge to back up my takes, but I will be riding with the Phillies specifically, and if not the NL in general, even if it is those slimy Dodgers. I'm an NL guy. Have to be there. Have to back the squad. But I don't know a lot, but there's not a ton of teams I'd love to see. It is some baseball blue bloods in there for sure. Not a ton of new blood. The Diamondbacks were, I'll call it a pleasant surprise, unless you were a Philly fan. That couple of years ago with being an 84-win team, they were forced out of it from game 161 and 162 today. But would love to see the Phillies bring it home. A lot of former Cubs out there as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great playoffs. I think there's a lot of things. There's always one or two teams that kind of get hot at the right time. I'm not willing to write off the Tigers. I think the Tigers are going to be a team to watch. I think Tariq Skubal, he's the pitching Cy Young of the American League, I think. Unfortunately, for all the Class A lovers, that's the truth, I believe. But he won the Triple Crown. I think he's going to be great. I think they're going to upset the Astros in the first round. I think the Tigers are going to upset the Astros. They're going to head to Cleveland. But on the other side of the bracket, I think the Yankees will make it to the LCS. I think looking at it now, I think I'm rooting for Cleveland in the AL, and for the NL, I'm rooting for Phillies and anybody who plays the Dodgers. So
Fair enough.
right now, and I'm going to call it that this is the year. I think Cleveland gets by New York. I think it's going to be Cleveland versus New York in the ALCS, and I think it's going to be Philly versus LA in the NLCS, and I think it's going to be Philly and Cleveland. I don't know who wins yet, but I think it's going to be Philly and Cleveland.
The most wrong side World Series you can possibly imagine.
I think Cleveland has a lot of great talent. I think a lot of past years they've kind of been lifted to these situations by pitching, and I don't think their starting pitching is that good. I think their bullpen is good, and that's how they got to the World Series last time. You play them for 6 innings. If you can't beat them in 6 innings, they have 7, 8, 9 locked up, and it's going to be a great playoffs. I'm super excited. Tomorrow, Tuesday, which means we start, and we get to watch baseball all day while we're working, and Wednesday all day, and Thursday, and then obviously a lot of wrong siders get the week off. They get to start up again this weekend. They get the buys. A lot of our wrong siders had the buys, and I'm excited for it. Playoff baseball, there's nothing better. It gave me chills watching the Mets win today. It gave me chills seeing the Tigers win today, or a couple days ago. I'm sorry. The Tigers were tied with the Angels for the longest playoff drought in baseball, and they broke it. So now the Angels sit in last place as the longest playoff drought. And if the Jets make the playoffs this year, they'll have the second longest playoff drought in all of American sports. So really hoping that the Jets maybe don't make it. But playoff baseball rocks. There's no sport better in the playoffs, I think. Every pitch is great. Every moment is great. Complete bias, but it's the best playoffs. It rivals hockey, which I think is also a very underrated playoff. And I can't wait to watch it. Maybe one day. Maybe one day it'll be us. So
maybe
very excited. I'm going Cleveland, Philly, month out.
I respect it. Baseball playoffs is fun. Those playoff hoodies are always sick. I still have mine.
They are.
But October baseball, there's the reason I would say I'm not into baseball overall is 160 games a year. It is tough to stomach for any non-diehard sports fan. Now it's time to lace them up. Every at bat, every pitch, every second matters. Ball up top. Let's ride. Red October is here. Playoff baseball.
Playoff baseball. That's our Around the World segment. Now, before we get to Outside the Line, we're going to kick it to our ad read and clutch moment of the week. Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Joey, who's your clutch moment of the week?
My clutch moment of the week goes out to Jake Matusak, head of Wrong Side Social Media, and the guy who books the bar reservation for the group. We have a lot of our friends have moved to Chicago since graduation, guys I don't always see too often, but Moose is ever the organizer, ever the planner. Has the group chat going, has people ready to go. No one's really being decisive, as college-age gentlemen are. We have no idea what we're trying to do next Saturday, but he goes, hey, booked a table reservation, booked a table at a
Wow.
great Ohio State bar. Show up if you want to. Well, there will be standing room as well. Got it all worked out. Did have some beef with the manager when we got there, but that's a different story. But the guy who books the bar reservation is my clutch moment of the week. How about you, Michael?
Love those guys. Only because most of the time it's usually me at home. I'm the guy at home, and I
Shut
set up the
up.
softball and I set up the events. So respect to those guys. They carry a lot of weight. My clutch moment of the week. If you guys didn't see it, check out the video. It's on Twitter. Posner, I think is his name. Let me find it the exact Ben Posner. If you didn't see the video, go check it out. Basically, awful news in the South and near Florida. Hurricane Helene, awful news. People's homes, prayers out to them, which also is awful. But Clutch Moment of the Week goes to one kid out there. People were recording for a local news station. There was a big flood on the street. Nobody could get through it. This kid started blowing up a raft, and the reporter said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I got 2 tickets for me and my best friend to go to Georgia, Alabama. I'm blowing this raft up. I'm going to paddle across, pick him up, jump in this boat, and we're going to raft back across. We're going to hop in my car," because they could still leave out one way. They just couldn't get to his house.
Yep.
Got him into the raft, so he paddles across. He jumps in with his backpack, paddle back across. They get out, get in his car, drive off. Next morning, they made it to Tuscaloosa, and they got in the car, made it to the game on College game day Saturday morning. Awesome story. A little happiness that came out of a horrible week there, and
Yeah.
awesome to see. So that was my clutch moment of the week to Ben Posner and his buddy going to the UG versus Bama game.
Love that. As clutch, dudes rock. Shout out to them, and shout out to Moose, the guy who books the bar reservation. Those are our clutch moments of the week. And now we will kick it to outside the line. All right, wrapping it up with outside the line and beginning with tone deaf person or group or list of the week. So, Michael, you start us off. I know you have a few.
Yeah, the last few weeks I've had a couple each week because I just think it seems like the tone deafness is rise. It rises as weeks go on. Maybe it's me.
Yes.
Maybe am I the problem? But here's mine. First one. So I have 2 that I'll quickly mention. One really one. First one, Colorado and University of Michigan social media teams. They posted something for their games. Michigan was a little better, I would say. It wasn't good, but it was like hinting at the caption was like, "No matter the weather, we'll be there." And it was a Michigan player standing in this gigantic puddle. Bad look. Deleted their
Bad
tweet.
luck.
Then Colorado was playing UCF at UCF, and it was like, "Don't worry, the weather ain't bad. These sharks don't bite." That one was tone deaf. Really bad look. They deleted theirs too. Like not thinking at all. And someone said a great tweet. Even though you've had a tweet planned for months, it's okay. You don't need to post it. Then other tone deaf, the Kansas City Chiefs. We talked about them earlier, but the Travis Kelce shirts. The entire team
Yeah.
warmed up in pregame with Travis Kelce shirts. You would have thought he died. Nope, just a bad 3 weeks, no catches. That's all it was. No injury, nothing bad. But maybe a little, conspiracy. Sunday, no Taylor Swift. First day after that alleged breakup letter that leaked on the internet. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm joking. But Travis Kelce shirts, super weird. I don't know why they were wearing them. Very tone deaf.
Very
acting
tone
like
deaf.
he died when he just had 3 bad weeks was pretty funny to me. But my main tone deaf, and this one I think hits home for a lot of people, especially in sports, depending on where you're from. And just as you're a big sports fan, you hate these kind of people. We've just had endure the A's are leaving Oakland officially. A bad owner moving his team to Vegas. Fans heartbroken. The city awful. A lot of history in Oakland. World Series teams, and now they're on their way to Vegas. They're going to play 2 years out at a minor league stadium. Move to Vegas in 2027. But my tone deaf of the week goes out to a different small franchise. The Pittsburgh Pirates, every season when teams sign new players, if they sign into a big contract, a 1-year contract, trade for them, it doesn't matter. Every contract in NFL, MLB, it doesn't matter though, but most likely in MLB because there's a lot of requirements for it. A lot of incentives in contracts. If you hit 150 innings as a pitcher, if you have 500 at bats, if you win the MVP, if you're an all-star, if you're an all MLB player, if you win a ring, there's incentives for everything, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, etc. The Pirates are my tone deaf person of the week because last week, Rowdy Tellez, first baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, was designated for assignment out of nowhere. Now, Rowdy did not have the best season in the MLB this year. He was not an all-star. He wasn't an all-MVP player. That's okay. That happens. It's okay to have a bad year. But the problem with this designated for assignment was at the time, he had 421 at-bats this season. If he reached 425 at-bats in the regular season, he would have gotten a $200,000 incentive by the Pirates. They cut him 4 at-bats shy. Strike one.
Brutal.
/ strike two. Then Sunday, this past Sunday, was the last day of the regular season. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, IKF, as people know him, he needed 3 at-bats to hit his incentive. He was out of the lineup on Sunday. Didn't even get a chance. Now, the rumor he said was, or that not even he said, the manager said was, they asked IKF if he wanted to play. He said, give the young guys a chance. I don't buy that one bit. I don't think young guys are getting a chance with 3-4 more at-bats than one game to end the season. You're not gaining anything else. A lot of the Angels young guys, they didn't even play this weekend. I mean, whatever. But the Pittsburgh Pirates, incredibly tone deaf, cutting guys short, not wanting to. This isn't millions of dollars. You're not saying it's a $15 million incentive. It's $200,000 and IKF's with $100,000. Very tone deaf, very unacceptable. Players in the organization see this. Free agents see this. This is not a team that's going to succeed in any near future with moves like this. Very tone deaf, shitty owners.
Yeah, brutal. The game is a business, sadly, but you're screwing over your own guys. You want them to want to play for your organization and other people to come there, and that sucks. So, staying in baseball for my tone deaf person of the week, Jerry Reinsdorf, one of my least favorite.
Another shitty owner.
Another shitty owner. One of my least favorite people in the city, potentially maybe even the world. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Chicago White Sox recently set the record for the most losses in a single season in Major League Baseball history.
They swept the Angels, don't forget it.
They swept the Angels, don't forget it. Jerry paid them incentives to not break the record at home, is what the people in Chicago are saying. So he released a letter today. Keep in mind, they had pretty much like playoff aspirations, if not higher, about 2 or 3 years ago. So in the very
made the playoffs
not so distant
COVID
past.
year, and I think the year after.
Yeah. The great fall of Tim Anderson, the punch heard around the world in Cleveland. It's been a roller coaster for the White Sox, but released a statement today on about the losses, basically saying, I know as an owner, I need to do X, Y, and Z. We need to continue to develop our current players, look to put a competitive roster on the field, yada, 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 yap, 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 blah, blah, blah. One of the last paragraphs was, I know these are just words and words are easy. We need to continue proving it day in and day out that we mean what we say and shut the fuck up, Jerry Reinsdorf. He's awful. He has ran the Bulls into mediocrity for years. If he didn't have the pleasure of drafting one of the best basketball players to ever touch a ball, they would have no championships. The White Sox are horrible. He has mismanaged them for decades, even though 2005 World Series was practically a fluke. He doesn't do anything right. I know you have a take about this as another poverty baseball franchise, but I don't get it. He doesn't do anything right. Sell the team, sell both the teams. Nobody likes him. He is awful. He has never once wanted to be competitive. And even just like putting it out there is tone deaf and stupid because everyone knows that he doesn't actually care.
Yeah, I mean, breaking the modern day baseball era for most losses in a season is you have to try to do that realistically. Yeah. And it's truly ridiculous to me. They've traded a lot of good players over the past few years to get prospects, and the prospects aren't doing anything. And they had Garrett Crochet this year, who was one of the better young pitchers in baseball. And I already read an article that they've already announced that they're probably going to trade him this offseason. So I don't really know what the goal is. I hate owners that do this. You're absolutely right. As a 2005 defendant of the Angels, that World Series was a fluke. AJ Pierzynski should not have been on first base, and we go down that hole. But that's the story for another day. But I agree that the statement, and I read that letter as well from the White Sox social media page. It was very tone deaf, and they are just words. And I know there were a lot of angry fans, but coming from someone who is an angry fan of a bad owner, I will say I do respect it a little because at least we got something. Today it was scheduled. It was end of the year conversations. The GM for the Angels spoke. Most teams have their GM speak, owners, etc. If you're not going to the playoffs, you have like a press
Yeah.
conference. The Angels GM Perry Manassian, he spoke, and it was supposed to be Artie speaking today too. Our owner, he did not speak. Another media opportunity missed. He hasn't spoken to the media in over 18 months, which is kind of insane if you really think about that. That puts us at about spring training of 2023, which is pretty
Damn.
embarrassing. Never said a word after Shohei, never went to a press conference after we got anybody. He's an embarrassment. So, yes, that was a tone deaf letter, but I would take a tone deaf letter over tone deaf hiding.
I respect that. I guess I'll respect that, but still, Jerry Reinsdorf is right up there with Artie. It's bad. It's bad, and sadly, I don't. Does Artie own any other teams?
No, no, just the Angels, luckily.
Um, Luckily, so
Maybe he's
heading
in
into right.
cahoots with Jerry, so.
Maybe, but kind of heading into our right side, wrong side to Jerry Reinsdorf's other mismanaged team, the Chicago Bulls, one of the more feeble franchises in NBA history. Lucky to have many Hall of Famers, including Derrick Rose, be a part of their teams, but not win anything due to horrible front offices, horrible coaching staffs, and etc.
Injuries.
Injuries. Here we go. Lonzo Ball has been out of the lineup for, I think, going on 3+ years. He hurt his knee, can't get it quite back. He had a famous video disputing Stephen A. Smith's take
Yeah,
that he
that
can't
was all
even
time.
sit in a chair. Lonzo Ball was sitting down and standing up in a chair on his bad knee, and then missed another 2 years after that. So, right side, reports are saying Lonzo Ball will be available for the Bulls opening season. He picked up, I think, a $20 million player option this offseason, hasn't played in
Why not?
years. Why not? I loved Lonzo as a player before he got hurt. You can't help injuries and hope for a speedy recovery there, but we're eating a lot of cash. We had a promising core with him, Levine, and Vucevic. The fact that we can't trade either of those guys at this moment, like, we're in a bad spot, but I think Lonzo's a great player, great playmaker, perimeter defender, and was even getting that three-point shot working pretty well. So would love to get him back. Would love to root for my NBA team. I really like the NBA, especially the playoffs, but it's hard to root for the Bulls, so I kind of just float around the league and watch some good ball. But hopefully Lonzo Ball is back. So that was my right side.
That's a good right side. Yeah, I mean, obviously Lonzo, ex-Laker, who was part of the trade for AD. I still like watching him. I would love for him to get healthy again. He's so fun to watch when he is healthy. I think he became very solid towards the end of his Lakers tenure. He was very good in LeBron's first year in LA when they got there, and he ends up getting hurt that season as well. But would love to see Lonzo healthy again and give Chicago something to root for again on the basketball court. But how about a wrong side before I get into mine?
Wrong side. Back to the bar conversation. Moose was my clutch moment of the week for being the guy who books the bar. But we went to an Ohio State bar in Lincoln Park, and bad service. Honestly, I've been on a streak of bad service in my life, and maybe I'm just turning into an old man and
Oh
getting
no,
nitpicky about stuff.
Karen.
I'm Karen over here, but long story short, there was supposed to be a server at our table. The server just like never came around. I showed up late. There was a bunch of people there. This had already happened before I got there, but server never shows up. So you go to the bar to get drinks. No one was really getting food, and the bartenders are like actually like pissed off at us that we're ordering drinks from the bar. They're like, "You have a server. You have a server." A bunch of us were doing it because it was a big party, and the bartender's like, "No, like, where is your server? Like, I'm not getting you a drink." We walked him over to our table. We're like, "This is our table. We haven't had a server in 30 minutes." So kind of a minimal, kind of a Karen wrong side, but bad service in general, and bad service when I'm trying to lock in on the Buckeyes. I really have no patience for it. If I go to a bar, I want a drink. Let me get a drink at the bar. It's not that complicated. They got really
Right.
heated for no reason. It was disappointing, but yeah.
Sad. So sad. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Especially at a bar. Like, it's not like a nice restaurant. Like, you're just there to
Yeah.
watch some football, just relax. Like, just pour me a drink. Like, put the fries in the bag.
Put the fries in the bag.
Um, my right side, wrong side. I'll start with my right side. Very easy right side. Love a stress-free Sunday. Since the Cowboys played on Thursday and the Buckeyes won on Saturday, really got to relax. took a nap during while I was watching games. That's rare. I don't really do that because like
Beautiful.
I'm on edge waiting for. I know this week is the complete opposite. We're on Sunday Night Football this week, so that's gonna be so stressful. Like waiting all day, but I'll be waiting all day for Sunday night. But it was nice to have a stress-free Sunday, relax, just watch football with no extra motivation, just to watch ball. My wrong side that we'll end the episode with, definitely one for the Bucks. Maybe a new low point, maybe not. I don't know. As I've mentioned before a lot on this, I play in a men's softball league. My buddies and I from high school and some friends from home. We play reigning champs. We've had a good time, and we played this past Wednesday. So let me. That's setting the scene. It was a 6:00 game. Nothing crazy. Wednesday softball league. We always play.
Uh-huh.
Playing this team, have this one guy. He's super annoying, always chirping, yelling. Doesn't matter what it is. Like, hey, nice play. It's just like a little too much for me for men's softball on a Wednesday night. I just got out of 10 hours of looking at Excel. Bring it down. This guy's annoying. He's yelling. He's saying, he's cursing. Fuck this. He's calling out his other teammates when he makes bad throws. Guy's a psycho. Now,
Oh my God.
bottom of the fifth inning comes. We're up like 4-2 at this point. I hit a ground ball chopper to third base. Really shitty swing. Probably my worst swing of the night. He's playing third base. I'm hustling down the first base. Bad throw. Up the line. I go to second. I'm going to second. I turn behind me to see. Ball still getting chased. I go to third. I'm going to make it in there easy. I know it. So I jog into third base. I'm getting in there. I hit the bag. About 2 seconds go by from I hit the bag. He catches it, lays a tag on me like pretty hard all over me. Like any regular person would do, I pushed him off. And it wasn't malicious. It wasn't like, hey, get the fuck off me. It was just like a get off. I went like this. I said, get off.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say anything. Wasn't malicious. This motherfucker goes ballistic. To the point where he's cussing everybody, saying obscenities. Fuck this guy. F this. You're this. Some bad F words you're not allowed to say in society anymore. In public.
Oh no.
In public. Like kids
Is he getting in your face?
Getting in my face. I was like, dude, get the hell off. Like, relax. Still yapping. Still going nuts, right? Everybody's yapping their side, our side. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to like de-escalate. Everyone's trying. I'm like, dude, like, wasn't trying. He's like, F you, man. Like, you have some respect. I've been playing this game for 20 years. Like, this whole thing. I'm like, dude, you're not Derek Jeter. Like, you're playing men's softball for 20 years. Okay. So now, next batter comes up. And I was hitting second, so our third batter comes up. Great hitter. One of our best players. And he's yelling like, oh, hit it to me again. Because since I hit it to him last time. Hit it to me again. I'll make the play. Now, this first pitch I was actually concerned about. It's a chopper down the line. I bolted home to like beat the throw. It goes foul. But I was actually concerned that he was going to like pop me in the head. Like there was actual concern. Because he was like going crazy. Foul ball. So I go back to third base. Still chirping. Hit it to me again. Lo and behold, the guy who's hitting smokes one at him right under his glove. Now at this point, our whole dugout is on it. Oh, like big noise. Now he's chirping with the whole dugout. I score. I jog on in. Everybody's chirping. He's still chirping the dugout. Everyone's chirping. I'm chirping a little. Then finally, he's like, hey, that's the last warning to him. He gave this guy like 10 last warnings. Last warning to you, and that's a warning to the dugout. Now, you complimented the guy who makes the bar, the guy who makes the plans. I set up the softball team, so I'm in charge of the softball team. I'm the manager of the softball team. So now the team has kept chirping him. They're all chirping, but I've shut my mouth. I'm inside the dugout. I've shut my mouth. I've said a couple things since then, but like up until this point, but I'm done talking now. Now I'm sitting in the dugout, like just standing there, back on the fence, just watching the game, still chirping going on. Finally, ump's like, that's it. You're gone. Tosses the guy who's playing third base. Tosses him. He's gone. So all of us are like, yeah, see ya.
Well, let me ask you this. Are there a lot of ejections in men's softball?
No,
Does this happen
rarely.
frequently?
Rarely.
No, it doesn't happen.
Rarely.
Okay, so you really okay.
So then he gets tossed. So then he's like, you're gone. And then he looks at our dugout. He's like, who's the manager of the washed up sluggers? And I was like, oh, he's like, well, you're gone too. And I was like, whoa. You're tossing me for me or tossing me for the team? And he says, it's too many team warnings. We have to toss the manager. So now I've been tossed.
What the hell?
Now I'm like, okay, I'll just go sit in the dugout. They make me leave the field. This guy's still going on, still yelling obscenities, cussing at the umpire, cussing at his own team, cussing at the scorekeeper, cussing in the parking lot, telling everybody he wants to fight. Guy was off his fucking rocker, hammered, Wednesday night, grown-ass man, so embarrassing. Worst part about all of this is I'm stuck. I get suspended, so I leave. When you get tossed from a game, we looked it up in the rules. 2-game suspension after. Out for 2 weeks.
Oh my
So I
God.
return back October 23rd against them. First game back.
That'll be huge.
Yeah.
I want you to get kicked out of that next game.
So
Or at
so
least
now
you need to get kicked out of
I've
that
played
next game.
20 years of baseball in my life. Never been tossed once. Was our captain in club ball. Was a captain in high school. Never once. And ejection in men's softball. So that was my wrong side, and it was quite the experience. Quite the experience on a Wednesday night.
That is crazy. You may have to bring some backup. A student section would get that guy real riled up.
Then the next day we had a kid who was on our team subbing for someone else on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Cops were at the field that night just to monitor nothing happened.
Okay.
And then they said that guy, this is his third time being ejected. He's been ejected for 2 games before, a full season, and now a third time.
That's got to be a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Pete Rose.
R.I.P. Oh, yeah. R.I.P. Post. And Dikembe. So, all right.
Yeah, that'll be worked into our campaign promises one way or another. How to deal with those crazy motherfuckers. I love being competitive. I don't have a
Same. I love
competition
chirping too. Yeah, sure.
I love chirping. I'm a talker. I've always been a talker, but not in men's league. Not
No,
men's
no.
league, that's for sure. So get a grip. Get a grip to everyone. We need to hear that more in the world. You need to get a grip. But that is a crazy story. One of the best stories I have heard in a while. So
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed. But yeah, on the ejection sheet, number 1 for Coach Sharber. So 2-game suspension. I'm appealing it though because they haven't emailed me officially that I'm out. So I'm just gonna show up on Wednesday and see what they say.
Respect. I love that.
But yeah, that's our show. That's our week. Thank you guys for listening. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Wednesday.
Stay blessed.